My CEO wife was forcing a choice on me, jail or divorce. Remembering the tragic fate of the original husband in the story, I snatched the pen and signed my name on the divorce papers. The female CEO's face instantly darkened. "Daniel, are you absolutely sure about this?" My heart hammered in my chest and I instinctively covered my wallet. "You've got to be kidding me. $2 million in alimony? I wasn't giving a single cent back." After working myself to death, I woke up inside a novel as a side character. The first thing I knew, I was locked in a basement. I was now Daniel Thompson, the female lead's husband, a man of wealth and power. 3 years ago, the original Daniel had met Sarah Miller while she was working part-time at a club and fell hopelessly in love with her. But Sarah didn't like him, so he had to resort to coercion. Under the pressure of his family's influence, Sarah eventually married him. Their 3 years of marriage were miserable. No matter what he did, Sarah never loved him. She was in love with her first love, Ethan Cole. Daniel would often fly into a jealous rage. While the old Daniel was losing his mind over this unrequited love, Sarah, relying on her own skills, had become a titan of the business world. Meanwhile, the Thompson family went bankrupt, leaving him destitute. His father had jumped from a building to his death, and his mother was critically ill in the hospital. Just 2 days ago, in a fit of jealousy over Sarah giving Ethan a birthday gift, he had hit him with his car. As punishment, Sarah had locked me in here, depriving me of food and water. Suddenly, I heard footsteps and looked up. Sarah approached, her beautiful face a mask of cold indifference as she looked down on me. "Daniel, Ethan is seriously injured. If he presses charges, you'll face criminal liability." My eye twitched. I had just gotten a second chance at life. I had no intention of spending it in prison. Jail or divorce? Pick one. Sarah's expression was frigid. "The only person I love is Ethan. Sign the papers now." With that, she tossed the divorce agreement and a pen in front of me. I picked up the agreement, and my eyes instantly lit up. Upon divorce, I would receive $2 million in alimony and a mansion in the city. This incredible windfall was finally mine. I had to hand it to her. The powerful CEO was certainly generous. Suppressing my excitement, I quickly grabbed the pen to sign. But the damn thing was out of ink. So frustrating. I bit my own finger, signed the document in blood, and handed it to her. "It's done. When does the alimony get transferred?" Sarah stared, stunned. She clearly hadn't expected me to be so agreeable. After all, every time she'd brought up divorce before, the old Daniel would throw a fit, crying, screaming, and threatening to kill himself. He was the type who would rather die than ever get divorced. "You're agreeing to the divorce?" I bit my lip hard, trying to hide the massive grin that was threatening to break out. I closed my eyes for a moment, composing myself in the silence. "I've had a lot of time to think while nearly starving to death these past 2 days," I said solemnly. "Instead of making you hate me forever, it's better to just set you free." Because I'd agreed to the divorce, Sarah finally let me out of the basement. Once I was out, I worried that the blood-signed agreement might not be legally valid, so I went to a print shop, made a fresh copy, and signed it properly. When I got back to give it to Sarah, I saw her on the phone with a grim expression. "I'll be right there," she said. After hanging up, she grabbed my arm. "You're coming with me to the hospital." It was only when we arrived that I learned Ethan Cole had hemophilia and was in urgent need of a blood transfusion. And, just my luck, I was a perfect match. Sarah wanted me to donate blood to Ethan. I cursed silently. I've had a crippling fear of needles my whole life, and losing that much blood at once? It would take ages to recover from. "Can I not do it?" I asked weakly. Sarah's voice was merciless. "If you hadn't hit him with your car, he wouldn't be lying here half dead." She pinned my arm down, her glare so intense it felt like she wanted to kill me right there. "You're giving this blood, one way or another." And just like that, they drew 400 cubic centimeters of blood from me. I felt so weak I nearly passed out. Sarah didn't even spare me a glance. Her entire world was focused on Ethan. A pang of disappointment hit me. No matter how you sliced it, the original Daniel had truly loved Sarah, would have given her the world, and had poured his entire heart out for her. In return, she treated him like he was nothing. Anyone would find that heartbreaking. But then I remembered the $2 million heading my way, and suddenly, I felt much better. What's a little blood donation in exchange for a fortune? As I left the hospital, I pulled out my phone and saw a notification for a trending topic on Twitter. Ethan was Sarah's childhood friend, and last year she'd poured money into making him an A-list celebrity. Because of my crazy act of hitting him with a car, I was being torn to shreds online and had been a top trending topic for days. "Daniel Thompson is a psycho. He deserves to be broke," another read. Daniel Thompson can go to hell. How dare he touch our precious Ethan? And how does a moocher like him even have the nerve to exist in this world? Someone even photoshopped my face onto a tombstone. I couldn't care less about these toxic stans. As long as the money came through, they could curse me all they wanted. They could even throw eggs at me. As long as they didn't hit my handsome face, of course. This got me thinking, should I start doing live stream sales on TikTok? I was infamous right now, which meant high engagement, and the potential earnings were huge. I remembered that Sarah's corporate empire included a media company, so I eagerly gave her a call. Sarah shot me down without a second thought. We are not divorced yet. You are absolutely forbidden from live streaming and embarrassing me. Dejected, I headed home. To be precise, it was Sarah's home. After the Thompson family went bankrupt, our old mansion was auctioned off. This new place belonged to her. She could kick me out whenever she wanted. I took a look around and noticed Sarah had a love for jewelry. Every piece was worth a fortune. Many of them were gifts from the old Daniel. I figured if I pocketed an item or two, she'd never notice. She simply had too much of it. Somehow, word of our impending divorce reached her grandmother, who flew into a rage and absolutely forbade it. So, Sarah asked me to go with her to visit her grandma. Sarah's parents had passed away when she was young, and her grandmother had raised her, so she respected the old woman immensely. Naturally, I refused to go. I didn't want anything jeopardizing the divorce. But then I had another thought. With her grandma opposing the divorce, who knew when I'd see that alimony? It was better to get some cash up front as a guarantee. Fine, I'll go with you to see your grandmother, I said. But according to the agreement, you owe me $2 million. You can start by transferring $200,000 now. Sarah looked at me with disgust. Daniel, when did you become so obsessed with money? Are you kidding me? Try going bankrupt yourself and see how much you love money then. I was absolutely obsessed with it now. Besides, the guy who used to treat money like dirt wasn't me. In my previous life, I'd agonize over spending $10 on a snack. So now, my only goal was to make money, as much as possible. I'm just securing my legal rights. How can you call that being obsessed with money? I retorted. Disgusted as she was, Sarah quickly transferred the $200,000. Seeing the deposit notification on my phone, I was very satisfied. After Sarah made her fortune, she wanted her grandmother to move into the mansion with her. But the old woman preferred her old house, saying you should never forget where you came from. The moment her grandmother saw me, her face broke into a deeply wrinkled smile. She was clearly delighted. The original Daniel, trying to win Sarah over, had always been incredibly attentive to her grandmother, visiting often to chat and bringing her expensive gifts. As a result, she was thoroughly convinced he was the perfect grandson-in-law. Danny, dear, don't you worry, she said. I will never let Sarah marry that actor. They'll be together over my dead body. Sarah and Ethan were childhood friends, but her grandmother had never liked him, believing him to be a fundamentally opportunistic person. Sarah was frustrated by this, but she never dared to argue. I took her frail hand in mine. Grandma, please don't say such unlucky things. You're going to live to be 100. At that, her smile grew even wider. Our Sarah is so lucky to have married you, she beamed. She wasn't wrong. Without the initial capital and connections from the Thompson family, Sarah wouldn't be the business magnate she was today. He deserved credit for half of her success. $2 million in alimony was more than fair. Seeing how happy I made her grandmother, Sarah's expression became complicated. On the drive back, she warned me, I'll convince my grandmother in the next few days. Nothing is changing about the divorce, so don't even think about backing out. What a joke. I wouldn't be worth $2 million even if you sold me. I'd have to be an idiot to change my mind. I just nodded. Then please do it quickly. Sarah seemed surprised by my attitude. She pressed her lips together. Don't play these push and pull games with me. The next morning, I got a call from the hospital. My mother was cleared for surgery, but the medical bills had to be paid in full within 3 days. I hadn't received the full alimony yet, and the $200,000 I had wasn't nearly enough. If I couldn't raise the money, she would die. I had no choice but to go find Sarah. I found Sarah at the hospital, taking care of Ethan. I ran up to her out of breath. Sarah, I need another $300,000. Before Sarah could say a word, Ethan, sitting up in his hospital bed, looked at me and said, You want money? Fine. I met his gaze and saw the pure rage and hatred in his eyes. I knew if Sarah weren't here, he would have lunged at me and tried to strangle me. The next second, I heard him sneer. I'll give you $200,000 for a striptease. It seemed Ethan had made good money since becoming a star. He'd certainly learned how to throw it around. But without Sarah, he'd still be just a mechanic. Sarah's face remained impassive. She didn't intervene because the old Daniel had once humiliated Ethan in a similar way. Back then, Ethan was still a mechanic, and Daniel, jealous of Sarah's affection for him, would constantly harass him. He'd deliberately take his car to Ethan's shop just to force him to kneel and then throw money at him. The old Daniel was a real piece of work. What, you don't want to? 2 dances would be 400,000. Before Ethan could even finish his sentence, I was down to my boxers and starting to dance, terrified he'd change his mind if I waited another second. Sarah was frozen in shock. Ethan was completely dumbfounded. The old Daniel, for all his faults, was still a proud heir from a wealthy family. He would never have stooped so low, let alone performed a striptease. It was the ultimate humiliation. Sarah frowned at me, her eyes filled with utter disgust. Daniel! I quickly pinched my own thigh, forcing a couple of tears to well up in my eyes. My mom is waiting for this money for a life-saving surgery, I choked out. I didn't want to do it, but he was just offering too much money. I looked up at Sarah, my eyes red. Do you want me to dance for you, too? Since we're married, I'll give you a discount. How about 300,000? Sarah exploded in fury. Put your clothes on and get out. In the end, I got the 400,000 before being thrown out of the hospital by Sarah's security. I decided to just lie on the pavement for a minute to rest, since I'd pulled a muscle in my back during the dance. A moment later, a shadow fell over me. I focused my eyes and saw her, my frenemy Monica Vance. The source of our rivalry was simple. Once, at an auction, I got into a bidding war with her over a ruby necklace I wanted to buy for Sarah. Of course, with the Thompson family's money behind me, I ended up winning it for 3 times her final bid. Ever since then, we were at each other's throats every time we met, neither of us willing to back down. She called me a simp, and I called her a lonely spinster. The news of my divorce from Sarah was all over the place, so of course she knew. She wouldn't miss an opportunity to kick me while I was down. Well, look how the mighty heir of the Thompson family has fallen, she sneered. I told you, being a simp gets you nothing in the end. I desperately wanted to shout that I wasn't left with nothing. I had $2 million and a mansion waiting for me. But I remembered from the novel that Monica's family, the Vances, was incredibly wealthy, on par with the Thompsons in their prime. She herself was a business prodigy who had founded a highly successful company right after college. $2 million was pocket change to her. I'm doing okay, I mumbled. Monica scoffed. The only thing tough about you is your mouth. I shot back without missing a beat. Have you tested that theory? Monica's face flushed, and she fell silent. I raised an eyebrow. Hey, trying to win a war of words with me? Monica nudged me with her foot. Hey, you just got dumped. Are you planning on playing dead on the sidewalk? I dusted off my pants where she'd kicked me and got to my feet. I haven't eaten yet. You should buy me dinner. Monica stared at me like I had grown a second head. Are you out of your mind? I assumed she was just being cheap. Come on, you're the CEO of a publicly traded company. It's just one meal. Don't be so stingy. As if provoked by my comment, Monica took me to the most expensive restaurant in the city. I'd never had things like foie gras or truffles before, so I stuffed my face like a man who hadn't eaten in weeks. Monica sat across from me, covering her face with her hands. You're completely ruining my appetite. I swiftly pulled her plate over to my side of the table. Perfect. I could still eat more. It's no exaggeration to say I had to hold onto the wall as I walked out. I was that stuffed. Back at Sarah's place, I lounged on the sofa, daydreaming about how I would spend my $2 million. Should I buy a piece of property first or a new car? Just then, Sarah walked over, her expression serious. My grandmother's health has taken a turn for the worse. The doctor said we can't upset her, so we're putting the divorce on hold for now. What? I shot up from the sofa in shock. No way. Putting the divorce on hold meant my $2 million were about to fly out the window. How could I not lose my mind? Noticing my unusually strong reaction, Sarah narrowed her eyes. You seem very eager to divorce me. I was baffled. Is being this fickle a requirement for all-powerful CEOs? She was the one who demanded the divorce, and now she was pinning it on me. I just think you're miserable being with me, I said carefully. I don't want you to be unhappy. But I never expected that not only would Sarah postpone the divorce, she also wanted me to play the part of a loving husband in front of her grandmother. Visiting her grandma was one thing, but acting was going to cost extra. Acting isn't exactly my forte. It's a bit of a challenge, I said. How about this? You can start by buying me that mansion in the city, a move-in ready one. As luxurious as her current place was, I was still just a guest living under her roof. Sarah's eyes bore into me, her silent scrutiny sending a chill down my spine. I lowered my head and sighed. I'm just thinking of you. It can't be good for your mood to see me every day. Sarah eventually agreed, since buying me the mansion was already part of the divorce settlement. After I went to the hospital and paid my mother's medical bills in full, I went with Sarah to see her grandmother. Sure enough, the moment her grandmother saw me, her mood brightened considerably. She had been lying listlessly in bed, but now she was insisting she wanted to get up and dance for me. I quickly helped her sit back down. Danny, you and Sarah have been married for a few years now. It's time you had a child. I glanced over at Sarah and caught the tips of her ears turning red, a rare sight. But Sarah and I had a marriage in name only. She was saving herself for Ethan, and I certainly couldn't produce a child on my own. As we left the old house, I asked, "Your grandmother seems to be in good spirits, and her health looks fine. When can we go finalize the divorce?" Sarah frowned. "Is divorce the only thing you can talk to me about?" Course not, I thought. I could also ask when the rest of my alimony would be transferred. I was waiting to go on a shopping spree. "Every day we stay married is another day Ethan is the other man," I pointed out. "Can you stand that?" Sarah stared at me for a long moment before finally speaking. "Actually, the relationship between Ethan and me isn't." Suddenly, her phone started ringing. I glanced at the screen and saw it was Ethan. Taking the hint, I said, "Well, if there's nothing else, I'll head out. Just let me know when you're ready to go to the courthouse." I had just hailed a cab when I got an iMessage from Monica. "You're coming with me to a gala tonight." I smirked. "My appearance fee is very high." Monica replied, "I'll treat you to dinner in a few days. Same standard as last time." "It's a deal," I typed back. As night fell, I arrived at the gala dressed in a sharp suit. I almost got lost in the dazzling display of flashing lights and opulence. It didn't take long for me to figure out why Monica had dragged me here. Her father was trying to set her up on a date, and she was using me as a shield. I leaned in close to her. "This is a pretty big favor. You owe me 2 dinners for this." I mean, even with my settlement, I couldn't just throw money around. Not like her. She was a walking ATM. Monica broke into a brilliant smile. "Fine, no problem." Just then, Sarah walked over and saw us. Her hand tightened around her wine glass. I saw her too. It wasn't surprising to run into her at a high-end event like this. A little later, Sarah cornered me outside the restroom. "You're still legally my husband. You'd better behave yourself." Seriously? I wasn't behaving. I was behaving so well I was literally handing her over to another man. This possessiveness was insane. We were about to be divorced, and she still wanted to control me. But I wasn't going to argue with her. In a way, she was my benefactor. And more importantly, I hadn't received all my money yet. "Got it," I said. Seeing my dismissive attitude, Sarah's lips pressed into a thin, hard line. Sarah was nothing if not efficient. She bought the mansion for me in no time. I held up my end of the bargain, visiting her grandmother every few days and keeping her in good spirits. The old woman was so happy, it seemed to cure all her ailments. After getting the keys to my new place, I went back to her house to pack my things. To my surprise, Ethan was there. When Sarah came out of the kitchen carrying a plate of food, she saw me and froze for a second. I was stunned, too. In 3 years of marriage, I never knew Sarah could cook. In fact, it was the old Daniel who had spent months learning from a chef just to tempt her to eat a little more. He would cook a huge meal and wait for her to come home from work, but she would never even glance at the food. Once, he burned his hand badly, and she didn't show the slightest concern. Ethan shot me a smug look, as if to say, "She loves me. You're the loser." He then said loudly, "Sarah's cooking smells amazing. I'm going to have to eat at least 2 helpings." I ignored him and went straight upstairs to pack my things. But Sarah followed me, offering an uncharacteristically defensive explanation. "Ethan just got out of the hospital. He's still very weak, so let's just go get the divorce finalized," I interrupted. Sarah stared at me, clenching her fists. "Are you serious?" "Absolutely." I was sick and tired of this pathetic situation. I was the legal husband, but I was being treated like the other man. Once we were divorced, she could cook for Ethan's entire extended family for all I cared. I nodded. "Isn't divorce what we agreed on?" Sarah's face was tense. After a moment of silence, she said, "Fine, you'll get what you want." The car ride to the courthouse was silent. The oppressive aura radiating from Sarah was suffocating. This was turning out to be the hardest money I'd ever earned. When we finally arrived, I scrambled out of the car, gasping for fresh air. The divorce proceedings were quick, and the remaining $2 million hit my account. I finally had the money. Sarah looked at me. "Daniel." With the money secured, I couldn't stop the grin from spreading across my face. Yes. Sarah saw the smile on my face, and her lips moved. I'll give you a ride. I waved her off. No thanks, it's out of your way. I can easily get a cab. I was so happy I just wanted to spend money. First, I went to a dealership and ordered a new BMW, then I went on a shopping spree at the mall. This was the life. I couldn't understand why the old Daniel had been so obsessed with trying to warm Sarah's heart. It was as cold and hard as a rock. That weekend, Monica made good on her promise and took me out to dinner. I ordered the most expensive items on the menu and asked the waiter to bring us a bottle of their finest red wine. If I didn't help her spend her money, some other guy would in the future. Monica rested her chin on her hand and said nonchalantly, Daniel, you certainly don't hold back, do you? I pulled my divorce certificate out of my pocket and tossed it on the table. I'm a divorced man. You have to help me celebrate properly. Monica's eyes widened. She picked up the certificate and stared at me in shock. You're divorced. I nodded. 100%. Monica grinned. Looks like you finally got all that water out of your brain. After dinner, Monica drove me home. Just as we pulled up to my new mansion, it started pouring rain. Thinking about the ridiculously expensive meal she'd just bought me, I felt I should be hospitable. The rain's really coming down. Do you want to come inside for a bit until it lets up? Monica looked out at the downpour. It really was dangerous to drive in this weather. So she came inside with me. I grabbed a random dress shirt from my closet for her to wear. I don't have any women's clothes here. You can wear this. Monica's face flushed slightly, but I had already turned to go into the other room and didn't see her expression. I had just finished my shower when the doorbell rang. I'd only been here for a few days, and no one knew my address. Maybe it was security? I went to open the door. Standing on my doorstep was, of all people, Sarah. Her eyes flickered over me, clad only in a towel, and then immediately locked onto Monica, standing a few feet away wearing one of my oversized dress shirts. Her beautiful face turned dark and cold. Daniel, I didn't buy you this house so you could fool around with other women. Lady, we're divorced. You're seriously overstepping. But Sarah was a powerful figure in this city now, and I was afraid that if I pissed her off, she could make my life hell or even run me out of town. I wouldn't mind leaving, but I hadn't even had a chance to get comfortable in my new mansion yet. It's not what you think, I explained. Monica's clothes got soaked in the rain, so she's just borrowing one of my shirts. I don't believe you, Sarah snapped. Believe what you want. I was done explaining. It's late. What are you doing here? Sarah forced herself to calm down. Have you seen my ruby necklace? A wave of guilt washed over me and I averted my eyes. I had sold that necklace weeks ago and invested the money in the stock market. Those stocks were doing incredibly well right now. Haven't seen it, I lied. Maybe you should go home and look for it there? Sarah bit her lip. I'm completely soaked from the rain. Aren't you going to let me in to change? She was, in fact, drenched. Her hair was plastered to her face, and she looked utterly miserable. Monica crossed her arms, a smirk playing on her lips. Don't tell me you're about to get all soft on her again. She had seen firsthand how pathetically the old Daniel used to chase after Sarah. I hitched my towel up higher. It's not really a good time. I can call Ethan to come pick you up if you want. Sarah stared, shocked that I would refuse her. For the first time, a flicker of hurt appeared in her cold eyes. A second later, she collapsed right in front of me. I felt her forehead. It was burning hot. She had a high fever. I rushed her to the hospital. Sarah was still unconscious when Ethan arrived at the hospital. The moment he saw me standing by her bed, he grabbed me by the collar. Daniel, you two are divorced. Don't even think about getting back together with her. What part of my behavior suggested I wanted to be with Sarah? I brushed his hand off and straightened my collar. I can't be bothered to waste my time on garbage like you. Now that Ethan was here, I could leave. I had just reached the door when I heard a weak voice behind me. Why am I in the hospital? Sarah, you're finally awake, Ethan exclaimed. Daniel called me and said you fainted at his house, so I rushed over and brought you to the hospital. Unbelievable. That manipulative jerk was saying it for my benefit. He was hoping I'd lose my temper and punch him like the old Daniel would have, giving Sarah another reason to feel sorry for him. But he'd miscalculated. I was no longer the jealous fool who used to compete with him for her attention. I opened the door and walked out without a backward glance. The next morning, I was woken up by a call from Monica. She had fallen and broken her wrist. She demanded I come visit her, complaining that she was bored out of her mind alone in the hospital room. Besides, Monica still owed me a dinner. And apart from her spoiled rich girl attitude, she was actually a pretty decent person. I got up, had a quick breakfast, and headed to the hospital, stopping on the way to buy an $88 bouquet of flowers. You have to spend money to make money, I figured. I'd make sure to get an even more expensive meal out of her next time. When I got to the hospital, the first thing I saw as I stepped out of the elevator was Ethan helping Sarah walk. The moment she saw me, Sarah quickly pulled her arm away from his and said nervously, "It's not what it looks like." I just looked at her, confused. "Excuse me? Could you move?" They were blocking the elevator entrance. Sarah's eyes fell on the flowers in my arms. "Aren't those for me?" "No," I said without thinking. Sarah froze. Just then, Monica walked over, cradling her cast. "Daniel, what are you doing just standing there like an idiot?" "Coming." I pushed past Ethan, walked over to her, and handed her the flowers. "You still owe me that dinner. Don't forget," I whispered. Monica was speechless. Sarah's gaze was fixed and rigid as she stared at the two of us. Ethan snorted. "Sarah, I told you Daniel was no good. You were so sick you almost got pneumonia, and he didn't even bother to visit." He added, "So much for loving you. Look how long it took him to move on to another woman after the divorce." Monica shot Ethan a cold glare. "You'd better watch your mouth. Say one more word about him and see what happens." The only reason I didn't mess with Sarah and Ethan was because I knew they were the main characters of this novel. As the disposable side character, I knew nothing good would come from antagonizing them. But Monica was different. She had the power and influence to back it up. Besides, in all the past arguments between Daniel and Ethan, Sarah had never once taken his side. She always protected Ethan. To show my gratitude to Monica, I decided to peel an apple for her. A week or so later, Monica was discharged from the hospital. She bought a ton of groceries and announced she was coming to my place for hot pot. She even made me go outside to help her carry everything in. As I was grabbing bags from her trunk, a pair of headlights swept over us. It was Sarah. She parked her car, got out, and glanced at Monica standing beside me, her brow furrowed. "When did you two get so close?" Monica smiled faintly. "Ms. Miller, that's a personal matter between Daniel and me." I looked at Sarah. "Did you need something?" There was no logical reason for her to be here. The divorce was final, and I was still visiting her grandmother regularly. Sarah stared at me. "That pumpkin soup you used to make for me, how did you do it?" I thought it was going to be something important. "There are recipes online. You can just look it up." "Can't you make it for me?" Sarah asked. "Do I look like a simp to you?" I shook my head. "That wouldn't be appropriate. We're divorced. We should keep our distance." Sarah bit her lip, a hurt expression on her face. Just as I turned to leave, I heard her say, "I bought back that ruby necklace." I subconsciously touched my nose. She knew I'd taken the necklace? Technically, it was a gift from the old Daniel, so it wasn't really stealing. She wasn't going to demand I give back all the money I'd made from it, was she? Sarah pulled the necklace from her purse. "This was a gift from you. I've always loved it." I loved it too. It was worth a lot of money. "I'm glad you like it," I said. "Well, we're going to head inside now." With that, I grabbed the grocery bags and went into the house with Monica, leaving Sarah standing there, motionless. As I started unpacking the groceries, Monica watched me. "Don't you think Sarah is acting weird?" I looked at her, my eyes wide. "You don't think she has some kind of terminal illness, do you?" I didn't remember that being part of the novel's plot. Monica rolled her eyes at me. "I mean, I think she's in love with you." I opened a bag of chips and popped one in my mouth. "You've got to be kidding." She couldn't wait to get rid of me, so she could be with her precious childhood friend. Monica tapped her chin thoughtfully. "She's come to you twice now, using flimsy excuses for trivial things. Do you really think she has nothing better to do?" I thought back on it and she kinda had a point. Seeing the pensive look on my face, Monica seemed to hold her breath for a second before poking me on the forehead. "You're not actually considering getting back together with her, are you?" "No way. I never go back to my exes." Hearing me say that, Monica seemed to let out a sigh of relief, her expression relaxing. Monica and I ate hot pot and drank until we were both completely wasted. When I woke up the next morning, I found us asleep on the sofa. Monica woke up too and immediately ordered me to go buy breakfast. Feeling I owed her for the hot pot, I agreed to go. But when I opened the door, I was shocked to see Sarah standing by her car, still in the same clothes from the night before. Apparently, she had been out here all night. My God, this was like something out of a soap opera. All we needed was some rain to complete the scene. Sarah stared at me with wide, clear eyes. "What is going on between you and Monica?" I shrugged. "It is what it is. We had hot pot. We're dinner buddies." The color drained from Sarah's face. "You're together with her?" "Oh right. She'd been standing here all night, so she knew Monica had stayed over." She had clearly jumped to the wrong conclusion. But I couldn't be bothered to explain. She could think whatever she wanted. Sarah stepped forward and grabbed my hand. Her face was pale, her eyes were red, and she looked completely broken. "Daniel, didn't you always want my heart?" she pleaded. "I can give it to you now." How ridiculous. What would I do with her heart? I only ever wanted her money. For the first time, Sarah tried to explain her relationship with Ethan. "There's nothing romantic between Ethan and me. We grew up together. I think of him as a brother." I pulled my hand free. "Sarah, the moment our divorce was finalized, we both became free agents. I don't care if you're with Ethan or Tom or Harry. It has nothing to do with me." Sarah looked at me in disbelief. "What did you just say?" She was supposed to be a genius. Was that sentence really so hard to understand? I looked her straight in the eye and said, slowly and clearly, "Let me put it this way, Sarah. I don't love you anymore." Her whole body shuddered as if she couldn't process the words, and tears began to stream down her face. It was the first time I had ever seen her cry. Then, to my utter shock, Sarah dropped to her knees in front of me. "Daniel, please, can you give me one more chance?" I was so startled I took a step back. "No." I didn't look at her again. I just turned and walked away. The only thing on my mind was what I was going to get for breakfast. I found out later that Sarah had fainted on my doorstep that day and had been seriously ill, even ending up in the emergency room. But that had nothing to do with me anymore. My life after that was amazing. I got my new car and spent my days cruising around in my BMW, flirting with women. Monica would treat me to fancy dinners, and I'd occasionally treat her to a food truck. One day, while we were eating, Monica asked, "Have you seen what's trending on Twitter today?" "What is it?" I asked. Monica showed me her phone. The top hashtag was #EthanColeIsOverParty. Apparently, someone had leaked a ton of dirt on Ethan from before he was famous. He'd presented himself as a humble mechanic, but in reality, he'd been using his job to sleep with numerous wealthy older women. He was essentially a kept man, and there were bank transfer records and explicit photos to prove it. I had to admit, with his boyish good looks, he was exactly the type those women would go for. But he was rotten to the core. He deserved everything that was coming to him. I heard he's been completely blacklisted from the industry, and that the husbands of those women beat him half to death. Monica paused, watching my reaction. He's in the hospital now and can't even afford his medical bills. Sarah hasn't done a thing to help him. She's completely cut ties. Seeing that I had no reaction, Monica teased, "Your ex-wife must be heartbroken. If you swoop in now while she's vulnerable, you could definitely win her back." I rolled my eyes at her. "What's wrong with you?" Monica just smiled. "I'm planning to open a new subsidiary. Do you want to come help me run it?" I remembered from the novel that Monica was destined to become one of the most powerful people in the business world, with a massive fortune. If I hitched my wagon to hers, I was sure to get a piece of the pie. "How about this?" I proposed. "I'll invest $1 million and become a partner." "Deal," she said. And just like that, I invested $1 million in Monica's new company, and she put me in charge of managing it. Monica truly had a brilliant mind for business. The company became profitable almost immediately, and soon we were making more and more money. I was counting cash until my hands were sore. After we closed a huge deal, the company held a celebratory gala, which was broadcast live online. The host invited Monica and me up to the stage. "The company is thriving, with a bright future ahead," the host said. "So, we're all wondering, when will Mr. Thompson and Ms. Vance be sending out wedding invitations?" That's right. Monica and I were together now. The initial spark of attraction was nothing compared to the comfort of a long-term bond. We finally crossed that line one night after a few too many drinks. She stumbled and accidentally fell against me, her lips brushing mine, and I immediately took the lead and kissed her properly. It was only after we got together that I learned Monica had a secret crush on me for years. She wasn't as prickly and demanding as she seemed on the outside. With me, she was patient and thoughtful, and she could be surprisingly sweet. "Honey, kiss me. Honey, hold me." What man could possibly resist that? I took Monica's hand, lacing our fingers together. "We've already signed the papers at City Hall," I announced. "We're planning the wedding for next year." The entire room erupted in applause. Now, I had money, I had a wife. I was a true winner in life. At that very moment, Sarah was at home, watching me on the screen, tears of regret streaming down her face. No matter how rich or powerful she became, she was destined to be alone for the rest of her life, having forever lost the one who truly loved her.